for Shameless Don Stanis.
It's Tom Pagliarulo, who will be looking to claim the Cage Titans featherweight strap.
Do know me, know I'm like a fan favorite just because I'm never in a boring fight, man. I'm not gonna just like fight to win. Like I'm always actually gonna bring it. So they're in for a treat.
In there isn't to just fucking get in. I want to make someone quit. I want someone to scream uncle. I want someone to fucking say stop.
I think on the regional scene, I've slowly progressed in the level of fights I'm taking. I've been in wars. I think I'm ready for it.
Let's hear it for Shameless Don Stanis.
It's Tom Pagliarulo, who will be looking to claim the Cage Titans featherweight strap.
Do know me, know I'm like a fan favorite just because I'm never in a boring fight, man. I'm not gonna just like fight to win. Like I'm always actually gonna bring it. So they're in for a treat.
In there isn't to just fucking get in. I want to make someone quit. I want someone to scream uncle. I want someone to fucking say stop.
I think on the regional scene, I've slowly progressed in the level of fights I'm taking. I've been in wars. I think I'm ready for it.
Boom. We survived. We're here. We made it. We're on to the 70s. 69's done.
No more 69. And
No. But, man, was it fun.
it was a great one. Liam, I cannot wait to see your photos. I think you might have shared a couple teasers, so I'm definitely stoked to see your photos, Liam. Make sure we share them out and get them out to everybody. But yeah, man, Cage Titans 69 is in the books, as I said earlier. Incredible weekend. Great way to start off Cage Titans 2025. Realistically, I said it to the fighters at weigh-ins and in kind of our pre-fight meeting on fight night. There's always a lot of talk like, oh, how do you top? And, how do you top last year? And how do you top Barrett and Giannetti? And, I was excited to share with them on fight night as well as weigh-in day that, Cage Titans 69 was the largest gate, largest crowd, fastest sellout in Cage Titans history, which is really a testament to the fighters that were competing on this card. Selling those tickets and really promoting their fights and really, did an amazing job. So hats off to those guys for, an incredible feat. Cause you look back 3 events ago and you have Barrett Giannetti, the largest fight and the most anticipated fight in Cage Titans history. And, sets a record. And then bam, here we got 3 fights later. And it's like, that's how we're going to do it. We're going to go. So we started off 2025 big. Great job by all the fighters. Great job by all the fans. It was an amazing night overall. And, I'm excited for it. See what comes next. So,
Yeah, the 70s.
Yeah.
The 70s are what's next. And
70s.
But tonight we're going to recap the action because there were 16 incredible victories and just 16 incredible fights, both sides of the coin.
Yeah.
All the way from the amateur debuts to the stacked pro card. But we've got a few people calling in as well, so we're probably going to touch up on all the fights. But I know we have people.
We're going to go out of order.
Yeah.
Because this first guy, he had a specific time slot he wanted to call in on. And
He's been waiting.
I've been seeing him perform for a lot of years, but another incredible performance, and he's a man that I don't want to make wait. So we're just going to bring him right in. 50 cal himself, Jack Condon.
What's up, guys? How are we?
Excellent. How you doing? A couple days out after a huge win.
Good. Obviously happy with the performance. On the mend a little bit because my foot was still pretty swollen after all the kicking that I did. So I just been chilling, icing a lot, and letting that inflammation go down.
Nice.
That's the painful part of the kicking game.
Yeah.
You don't feel it in there when it's happening. It's just a couple days later.
It was crazy. Like there was not one moment in the fight where I was like, oh, that hurts. Like there have been times where I've had kicks checked and it was like, oh yeah, that one hurt right away. But then I don't know, just in the middle of the night after the fight, it was just screaming at me. But got the x-rays. It's all soft tissue, so you just got to let it pass, right?
Yeah. Oh, Just like yes, that too shall pass. It'll heal up in due time and just give you time to celebrate an incredible win over Ali Zabian. That was a textbook Jack Congdon performance. You were able to really dictate the distance through the fight. Awesome time. And I saw that highlight clip of that right hand that you landed out of the southpaw stance when he jumped in with that Superman punch. And that was pretty much the shot that set up the sequence to the finish. And the second standing rear naked choke on your professional record.
Yeah, man. We kind of knew that he liked that Superman technique. He had a few kind of variations that he would do with it, of like he'd use it to set this or that up. So as I was visualizing the fight, that was definitely part of like, okay, if he does this, depending on what stance you're in, you got a few options, step back, slide back right hand, slide back left hand, counter check hook. I would have loved to catch him with a side kick or something as he was jumping into that. That would have been pretty sick, but it wound up being that counter check hook. And it's crazy because I was telling you about it after, Mike, but it's like those shots that put the guys down, you don't even realize that you throw it in the fight or even like feel it. It just kind of happens. It's just such flow state. So yeah, that was pretty cool. And then, yeah, I mean, I mentioned it after with the standing RNC too, but it's like, I'm surprised you don't see more of it when guys are wrestle heavy. I don't know. You can just slide that arm in there, kind of rip the head back and get the choke, it's there. So yeah, good performance. Definitely could have been a little bit more patient at times and stuck to my range instead of, there were a couple of exchanges where I kind of wanted to get one back on him boxing wise. So, could have gotten hit a little bit less, little things to improve on. But overall, yeah, good performance against, Zabian's a tough guy, wins over Peter Barrett. A lot of big guys he's fought around the area too. So yeah, definitely a big one, and we're only going up from here.
Yeah, man, it's funny, you talk about that standing rear naked, and as Andy brought it up twice in a row, back when I was on the mats a lot more, and I always just say it's like if you get somebody's neck deep, like whether you have hooks or you don't have hooks, or like it's just like you're not positioned correctly. That minute you get that neck and you really start getting that squeeze on and stuff, like, man, it's not really it's a game. It's game over at that point, and you've done a tremendous job with that.
Yeah, right. Like even from the ground, like turtle position. Yeah, drop and hit that the bulldog choke, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like that's another example, right? Like in sport jiu-jitsu and training, you're probably not going to do it all the time because it's not a nice move. It's really nasty. But like in MMA training, those things are there. You got to take advantage of it. You get that neck, you squeeze.
Yeah, and another thing that I noticed a lot in your fight, and shout out to Tom Pags. He's actually our next caller. He already called in. I wanted him to know that I see him down there. Jack gave me an 8:30 wrap up, so we're going to finish up with Jack. But, a lot of things that I saw about you in your fight that stood out to me in this particular one is kind of what you just mentioned. Things that you don't do in training. You were like grabbing his chin in the standing position and ripping it. And it's like things like that you don't do in training, but it's a fight, man. And those are things that can work and be used to your advantage. I love how you use those techniques. Yeah,
right. Like you said, you don't even really rep it in training, but it just kind of comes out instinctually in the fight, which is the coolest, most beautiful part about the fight, right? It's like you do all this preparation. You can picture it a million different ways, and then it plays out the way that it plays out. And, that product is like, there's nothing more pure in that because, it's either you do and, you just purely do and you just are, you don't think. Because if you don't do that, the other guy he's forcing you into that flow state almost. So, that's the beauty of it. And also kind of the ugliness of it, right? It's kind of, I guess, two-sided, right? Because it's like those techniques are nasty, but it's also kind of pretty.
That's the art side of the martial arts. I mean, like I love it. I love when that dirty grind, like that nasty shit happens in a fight. It's like I love it. The face grind, the cross facing, the stuff you don't do in training. That's exactly what you do in a fight. And it's like it's always beautiful. I don't care what anybody says.
I'm getting excited talking about it because, like, again, people who knew when I trained, like, I implored a lot of those little dirty things like that people would call dirty, but it's just like, listen, man, like if I'm on top of you and I can't really do anything, I'm gonna throw my chin in between two of your ribs and stop poking at it, like just to fucking make you uncomfortable. And it's like, dude, that's a dick move in training, but it's like I'm doing that fucking thing. I'm gonna stick my chin between your two ribs if I'm standing on top and I'm on top of you and I can't get a strike in. I'm throwing my chin there. I used to do a choke when I get somebody. If I couldn't get my hands class enough, and back at the gym they call it, like my chin choke. I would use my chin and my face to cut off the other side of the artery. Like now, does it work all the time? No. But it was like,
it was always annoying.
If I had this side cutting off some circulation and I couldn't really clasp, I would take my chin and put it on their neck and pull their head into my chin to kind of use that as another shutoff. It's right. It's a fucking fight. Like, let's just be real.
Exactly right. Like, it's not nice, but it's not illegal. You know, you can do it. You might as well. These little things. It's old school. It's like you don't really see as much of that anymore. A lot of the times, like especially in the UFC too, it's like everybody's kind of like rounded out, but also at the same time become like borderline cookie cutter with the techniques that people use. Some of that old school flavor is good. Like guys used to have like very distinct styles. It used to be a lot nastier grappling and stuff like that. But you kind of seen the sport move away from it a little bit. But I mean, all that stuff works still. You don't train it as much.
Like you said, it's not nice, but it's not illegal. That is a beautiful quote. That is so awesome because it's like, yes, it's very much not illegal. The reason the sport is legal is you get a sanctioned government commission to sign off for you to do those things to another human that has signed off to do that to you as well. It's not nice, but it's not illegal. You do it. It's a fight. You get to.
Let me ask you as we wrap up, because we're hitting our time limit with you, and I don't want to keep you late. But let me ask you this. That standing rear naked kind of that you've now hit twice, and the way you got it on Ali, do you think that's like, was that something you've practiced in training? Do you think that's more you're able to hit it because of your body type? Like what kind of goes into that? Like, because I was also, again, when I was on the mats, I'd be like, certain people's
I lost you here, guys.
But yeah, it comes back to that. Your body style, what do you think attributes to you being able to use that technique?
I lost you for a little bit, but I caught what you were saying about, like, do you think that's like, do you train that or is it body type? That pretty much the gist?
Yeah, pretty much. I was just saying that, like, there was techniques when I would like teach a class or something like that. I'd be like, this will never work for your body type, but it happens to work for this person. So how do you think that, like, that standing rear naked, like the way you set it up, you kind of just like reached over his back and like the way you were able to grab it from that position? Like, what do you think it is? Is it the training of it? Is it your body type and it's just something that's unique to you? Because I'm assuming that might not be something you might teach everybody in your classes.
No, right. And it's kind of a specific position. I can't say I've ever gone and repped that in training. But I've hit it in training before where it's like, the guy's got his head buried there. If you can get that front forearm kind of across and kind of keep his head up like that, and you are the taller guy, you can then reach over and then lock that choke up. As long as, your legs are wide and you can keep your balance, you got to prioritize the takedown, the position. But when guys are so sold out on getting the takedown, then, then you can just hit that. So I would say, definitely more body type and instinct than like specifically repping it.
Yeah, definitely got to give kudos to that instinct right there. 100% finish rate throughout your entire fight career, and it shows. That's just like an instinctual move. It was there. You took the neck, and you digressed it step by step with your own explanation right there, maintaining the balance forward, and it's just always fascinating to watch.
Great job.
Killer instinct through and through, and back with a serious momentum and heal up the foot.
Three in a row now?
Two, I think.
2 in a row?
Yeah.
Yeah, you had Kyron Bowen and now here Ali, big fights that
Yep.
a great win streak too. Like, the back to back, we talked about it leading into this fight with Kyron, being victorious after he fought you. He was on the Contender Series, things like that. You're not taking the easy road, and that must be commended. Appreciate the road that you're taking, and you're really doing, good things.
Yeah, appreciate that. Both guys were tough. Both PFL, Ali fought in Bellator, PFL, Bowen the Contender. So, I've said it before, but if I'm going to get there and I'm going to be on the Contender this fall, then I got to go in there and fight tough guys. So I'm prepared. So yeah.
All right, Jack. Well, thank you so much for taking your time on this beautiful Monday night to join us, and we'll be talking again soon.
Heal that foot up.
All right, buddy. Have a good one.
Thanks for having me on. Peace.
Take it easy. Thanks as always, Jack. Man, that
50
was
cal Jack Congdon. Great opportunity.
50 cal
Great fight.
Yeah, that was a stellar performance. Ali was bringing it to it. He was going forward the whole time, and Jack just was able to put a perfectly display of counter-striking clinic until he set the finish up. And like I said, the instinct, once he had him hurt, never let off the gas, and any opportunity he found, he seized it to the max capacity.
I love talking to him about that technique, because it just brings me back. Like being in a gym, it's like, this shouldn't work, but it does. Don't ever do this, but it somehow works for me. Like I'm replaying that in my head, like just hearing people talk about it. Like D Sabatino does some moves like that. It's like, how the fuck does that work? But he pulls it off. There's always that. But anyways, I don't want to keep this man waiting much longer. The new featherweight Cage Titans champion. So stoked to finally see him with my own eyes in person fighting, and what a fucking performance, to say the least.
Jesus, yeah.
So the man himself, the man of the hour, the weekend, the man of New England, the featherweight champ himself. What's going on, Tommy?
What's up, guys? How you doing?
Doing great, Tom. How you
doing? Haliarulo.
Yeah, getting it.
Haliarulo.
I'm getting there.
Haliarulo.
How you still? How's your weekend been since the fight?
Sorry, I lost you there for a sec. Yeah, been good, man. Man, not much. Got home early Sunday, and then I was back in the gym this morning, so not much different.
Nah, man. But you got to be riding high, man.
A little bit, yeah. This one feels good. This one feels good for sure. I had a pretty long camp. I think I knew about the fight around like the last week of October. I think Tyson said you guys kind of had it planned, and so I got right to it. It's probably like a 12-week camp. So yeah, it just feels good. Beat a guy at that level, to do it the way I did it. Yeah, it's been a high. I'm not trying to get too high on it. You know what I mean? I know I got to go do that shit again now and do it even better. So just trying to stay level-headed with it.
Absolutely. I mean, it's already commendable that you're already back in the gym on Monday. It was a stellar performance, but there's nothing wrong with riding that high. It's the week afterwards. You got to sit back and appreciate the accomplishments of your work. Don Shanis is.
He was enjoying it last night. He had like a 3-course, 4-course dessert, all kinds of. I saw on you.
Oh, yeah, I went out to dinner last night. That was awesome. That was great.
Yeah. I mean,
I've been eating. I haven't slowed down the eating. I've been eating today too. I just put down a pint of ice cream before I got on here.
Ice cream. What's your ice cream flavor?
It was like this sugar cookie thing. I don't know. My wife bought it. It was in the freezer, and I've killed it. So
you earned it, man. You earned it. Like you said, you put in a long camp,
and it was a tumultuous camp. Tyson and I, we kind of shot the shit a little bit today, and I won't say, but obviously, you did have one or two things that came up in camp that were tough. He shared some pictures and shit like that, and I'm like, oh wow, okay. So
yeah, we could talk about it.
It wasn't an easy camp. What, you broke your nose, or you say it? Go ahead.
Yeah. That first week, the day I came to Cage Titans to do that face off with him, I had a little training accident, took a knee to the nose, and broke my nose, so that sucked. I had to wear like this plastic face mask when I trained to protect my nose, and I'd spar with it. And then that thing over time loosened up because I'm an idiot and didn't keep tightening it. And then I had like my nose split. I got scars all over me. My nose split, and then it split up here a little bit, but not like too bad, just for enough where I could put like a little skin bandage over it. And then last week or 2 weeks now, the week before the fight on Wednesday, I got headbutted in the eyebrow and had to get 4 stitches. I thought I was out of the fight when it happened. I was like heartbroken. Kind of lost my shit a little bit at the gym because I really wanted this one, but I went and got stitched up, and they were like, "We'll take him out like 2 days before." Or was it a day before weigh-ins or 2 days before weigh-ins? And I was like, hopefully the commission doesn't see it. And I just had my coach grease it up pretty good before I got in the cage, and just didn't let him get too close. So I'm just happy I got to the fight.
My man, that was incredible when Tyson. I said to him, I go, November 9th is when he broke his nose. I go, that was the day that I saw him in person and we announced the fight. He goes, yeah, that morning in the combat zone cage, you guys are fucking around and, you know, we're training and they got broken. I was like, oh shit. And good thing you're Italian because no one could tell on the nose.
Yeah, it's good. It's just a little tough to breathe. I got the big nose anyways. And then I was just hoping, man, I was more, the cut scared me a little bit. Like, I didn't know what the commission was going to say. The doctor's looking at me at weigh-ins, and I normally don't wear glasses all the time. I just got these today, so I have to wear them to adjust to my new prescription. But I wore my eyeglasses to weigh-ins when I saw the doctor to kind of cover my eyebrow a little bit because I didn't want him to see it. But I was just like, I had it in my head all week, like, God, if this kid touches that thing and the doctor stops it because I got a hole in my friggin' eyebrow, I'm going to be pissed. But luckily, everything went my way, so worked out.
Pause. Yeah.
It couldn't have been a more stellar debut. Immediately into a title shot against Don Shamus, who brings Shameless Nation. The crowd was always been showing up for him. You're introducing yourself to the Cage Titans crowd, and you handled it like there was no pressure whatsoever. Your jab was on point right out the gate. You know, Don Shamus was throwing everything, including the kitchen sink at you, but you were able to evade, take what he landed, and land your own back until you broke his nose. I mean, his nose was on the other side of his face by the end of the fight. It was just perfect. I'm talking about the killer instincts of Jack Congdon. Yours were right on par as well because it was like almost a delayed knockdown. The way you pounced, it was just sensational. You were lights out through the night.
Yeah, thank you, man. I think I like to pride myself on just my calmness when I fight. I try not to get too emotional. I'm not the type of guy who like starts screaming and get himself hyped up. If you watch me out back, like I'm kind of just hanging out, shooting the shit, joking, and just get like I like a good hard warm up. I got a crazy warm up in for this one. Me and Carlos was away like sparring out back and shit. He threw his headgear on. I feel bad. I was kind of hitting him with the little gloves, but I knew like Don's kind of known for having that good cardio, and I knew he was going to kind of throw the kitchen sink right off the rip. So I wanted to go in there kind of like get a good sweat and kind of, I feel like at the beginning of a fight, you have that like awkward tension where you haven't like gotten an exchange yet. So I wanted to get that out of the way, which I did. And then when I got in there, I felt like I could just get right to it. I think I surprised him with how much like I was in his face. I think he kind of thought like people think I'm tall and long. I'm going to kind of stay on my back foot and stay out there. But my game plan was to just get in his face. I know I'm pretty confident in my defense. He didn't really hit me much. I think I caught everything off my hands. I got one little kind of lump on the side of my head. I got a little overzealous with the right hand, and I think he caught me with something. But yeah, I felt good, man. I knew if he closed the distance, I could tie clinch him up and do my work there or just wrestle him there, and then let him just run into a right hand pretty much.
Yeah, that he did. So
that's about as perfect a straight right as you could land. There was no tell. It was a work of art. That one punch that set up the finish. It was truly, I mean, everything else was on point, but that one punch was glorious.
Following that up, now that it's all said and done, did it kind of go according to plan? Is that kind of how you envisioned the fight going? Was that what you guys talked about? Or like, was it, kind of talk us through like the lead up and what your expectations were, and then in comparison to how it actually turned out?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think everyone around me thought I had the potential to do that. It was more that I knew I could stop him. I just thought, he's pretty durable, and he's got the experience. I knew I could stop him, but I really thought I was gonna like have to earn it in like the third or fourth, kind of late. I think, not trying to like talk shit on him, but I just think I'm better everywhere, and I do think I was gonna be ahead that whole fight. Like I went in that fight extremely confident, like in my abilities to just be a better fighter everywhere than him. But going into it, no, I truly thought it was going to be like a later kind of like third round, fourth, I was going to stop him. But once the fight started and I landed a jab, and then I knew I hit him with a knee to the body. I actually dropped him right off the rip on like a crazy exchange we got him. And I could kind of just see the look in his face. And I was like, all right, I just got to chill out and I'm going to knock him out. Like I could just feel it that round. It was coming. He was just kind of throwing the kitchen sink, which is dangerous to do with me, I think. And I knew he was going to walk into a right hand eventually. I just had to not try and kill him with it and just touch him. My coaches were yelling at me, just touch him. Just keep touching him and put that right hand in his chest, and it'll find his chin. And that's what happened.
Speaking of, you felt you were better, and again, you weren't talking shit. I got to ask, BetMGM felt the same way. They actually came out with you as the favorite. Was that a surprise? And did you get any text messages from friends being like, "Fuck yeah, you made me some money"?
Yeah, I saw when you guys posted. I don't know if anyone bet on me. I'm sure they did. I tell them not to tell me that shit. I get kind of pissed when my friends text me before a fight. I'm betting on you. It's like, go fuck yourself. I'm going in there to fight. I don't want to hear you putting money on me. But no, it was like I don't want to say I was surprised. I think, man, I've always been really humble, but I am that good. You know what I mean? Like I believe in myself now, and I am that good. I showed I'm that good, and I deserve to have the odds in my favor like that. I think with his experience, maybe like on paper, he should have been the favorite technically, but man, maybe people do believe in me and my skill set, and that's why I was the favorite. But no, I think I earned it.
Well, there's no lack of humility when you got the self-belief and the body of work to prove it, and the confidence that you're presenting right there. With the result like that over the opponent, the caliber of Don Shanis, who is a legit top-tier contender around here, and to explode onto the scene of Cage Titans, there's no lack in humility in saying that you deserve it. It's a well-earned accolade right there.
Thank you.
And to piggyback off that, you brought it up in the belief, and like not the brag, you are that good. Talk to me a little bit about your message after the fight and men's mental health and have the confidence and things like that, and what's some words of encouragement for people that might now become a Tom Pags fan. Like, what can you give them for advice and words?
Yeah. I think that's something that's kind of been a big change for me this past year, and definitely in this camp was just like, I think I always had the physical skill and all that and the ability to do this thing, but like sometimes I get in my own head a little bit and put too much pressure on myself, and then even outside of fighting, just like not being kind to myself. I've been trying to just focus on like how I talk to myself, I guess, right? And yeah, I don't know. I feel like people kind of expect like we're professional fighters, we're these tough guys. Like, I don't know. We are, but like I think when it comes from someone, like you watch a guy knock someone out in a cage like that, and then you have the opportunity to tell someone like, hey, it's okay to focus on your mental health and your well-being. Like, I think maybe it hits home a little bit. And it was cool. I actually got like a bunch of messages over the past couple of days from people who saw that. And, when I said it, I was like, no one's probably going to like care about this or like see it, but I guess people do. And I got a couple messages from people who really appreciated it. And yeah, so I don't know. It was just kind of in the heat of the moment,
Well, welcome to Cage Titans. People will watch it.
Yeah.
Hey, listen,
yeah,
man,
awesome.
I appreciate that because, for me, when, I started Cage Titans, 15 years ago, it was like, we as fighters are human beings and people. We're we're not just cavemen that just want to like pummel people, and like we have people that are engineers and teachers, and like there's so much more to the fighters than just the fact that our form of competition happens to be punching people. So I love that you brought that to the forefront, and it just shows a layer that we're not just guys who get off on bludgeoning somebody. Like we are human beings, we are people.
100%, man. We all bleed the same. We all go through our shit. And if I can do anything with that performance outside of putting on a cool fight, it's help someone like that, and maybe they get the confidence to go start helping themselves or starting therapy, whatever it is, then awesome. You know what I mean? It's that's bigger than fighting will ever be.
Nice.
And I love it. This isn't the first time a fighter has done this, but I think that what better sport to represent it? What better sport to represent mental fortitude and the preparation that goes into it, and the adversity everybody overcomes through a fight camp, and that can be juxtaposed and transcended into any other aspect of life. So I always am inspired anytime someone who's in the cage speaks to that message, over the years, and glad that you made the most of that opportunity to hit it home with the people watching and supporting you at home. And that's really great. I love it.
Nice.
Appreciate it.
You guys got the big New England cartel coming up this month. You got Mr. Fawn fighting, Calvin fighting. You got Nick Fury next week. Exciting times for the team, right?
Cruz, huh?
Yeah. We got Connor Matthews fighting too. He's fighting the same night as Calvin. So I'm actually he just asked me today if I could fly out to Vegas for the week with him and be a body out there. So he's fighting a guy kind of similar style to me, same kind of build. So yeah, I'll be out there with that. Just busy, man. Back in the gym. That's kind of my motivation to get back in the gym so early, is like these guys have been in the gym with me, getting me ready. So it's like, gotta return the favor. We have a small team, man. Like even on Mondays today, there's like 4 of us on the mats. You know what I mean? But we get shit done. Like it's not always numbers, man. It's quality. And it's me, Nick Fury, your amateur champ, Fred Allen, and Connor Matthews today. You know what I mean? We're just on the mats. We got Tyson with us and just drilling hard and getting these boys ready now. We got Freddie gearing up, I think, for something coming up too. So it's just all systems go in our gym right now, man. Rob and Calvin are finishing up camp at TriStar right now. I think I don't even think Calvin's going to be at his show. I don't know what's going on. He fights the following weekend, so I don't even know if he can even be at his show. But it's just busy times, man. It's a good time to be on the team.
A good time to be. Feels good to be alive right about now for New England Cartel. On that note, shout out to Mr. Valdina. My new favorite Mr. Valdina is Mr. Pags. Him and I, me and Mr. Old Man, Mr. Pags, were hanging out for a good majority of the night. I say to people all the time, like, I'm a dad of 5, and when I get to rub elbows with the dads, and the fighters don't think it's cool. They're like, stop talking to the promoter. But I always enjoy, from one dad to another. So shout out to Mr. Pags for hanging out with me on fight night. And my last thing is, I wanted to, I'm going to bring it down to a somber moment for a minute, but I want to take a minute to acknowledge an unfortunate event that happened with one of your teammates, Mr. Shawn Nichols. He got a little altercation with a security guard at the show, and, he wasn't treated fairly or nicely. And I caught wind of it after your fight, and I heard it was during your walkout. To Shawn, I've already reached out to him personally and talked to him. But that's just not the type of behavior, not a representation of Cage Titans, So shout out to him and apologies from me to him again for the way he was treated at our show. I told him, that's not how we do business. Shawn's fights for us, and that's not how security staff should be, putting their hands on, guests in our building. So I'm sure you know about it, or you might have been knowing about it, but if you didn't, now you know. And
honestly, man, it was wild. I didn't even see it. He fist bumped me, and all of a sudden I go down I'm zoned in. I'm like walking down the stairs. I get to the stage. I turn around. I'm with my whole team on the way down, and then it's just me and Tyson. I'm like, where is everyone? And then Shawn appears. He's like, oh, this is crazy. This just happened. I'm like about to walk out. Nick Fury's not down there because they thought Sean was my corner, not Nick, so they didn't let Nick through. But then they fixed it. I looked at them. I was like, look, my song's playing. I'm fucking going to fight. I'll see you guys. If like, you're coming, you're coming. I was like, I'm not dealing with this. So I went out and I just put it behind me, and my team made it out fine. But yeah, man, I know that's not cage tight. Like these shows, it's all, I feel like the security and stuff at all the regional shows, like you got to do what you do. You get your people come in, just sign up for it on this friggin' night, and you don't even really know who's there sometimes. That's water under the bridge, man. No one gives a damn about that. I'm not going to let an incident like that ruin my experience. I had a blast.
Yeah, man, and I'm glad you did. But I'm all about accountability and things like that. And I want the world, not just Sean privately. I want everybody to know that's not type of behavior that I accept. I don't accept favoritism. You were in the back room, and you heard me say that, and before the fight. Our security staff should be, taking good care of you guys, not, in understanding that obviously, Sean, you're his teammate. He's trained with you, and he's going to be a little overzealous, and he's going to be a little excited, and he's going to want to fist pump and all that stuff. And we need to understand as a staff, if the security staff specifically, what's a little too much and what's just a guy being excited. And I've gone over that with the years with even the police department in Plymouth. It's like, oh, everybody's got to be in their seat. It's like, cool, go to the New England Patriots game and tell everybody in the seats to sit down.
Yeah,
this isn't a play. Not everybody's in their seats, so it's a work in progress. But I don't want that to overshadow. But I also want you to know, and your fans that might be new to cage sense, that listen, that is not something I tolerate, nor will I ever tolerate. So we made it right.
Yeah. No, I appreciate you reaching out to him too. I know he appreciated it. He filled me in on that earlier today. I was happy to see that, and yeah, so thank you.
Yeah. At first, I was like, and now I got the real business out of the way. It was kind of funny because when I heard about the incident, they were like, "Hey, one of our security guards just got in a scuffle with this guy because he was threatening him and saying he's part of the cartel and he's going to get the cartel after us." And he was like, "Well, I just want you to know, Mike." And I'm like, "He's sending a drug cartel after us? What the fuck are you guys talking about?" And he was like, "Yeah," he said he's part of the cartel. And I'm like, he really threatened you with a drug cartel? Who the fuck is this guy? And it was like, then finally the name came and they're like, Shawn Nichols. And then I'm like, Shawn Nichols? Now, Shawn Nichols, I don't know if you know him, but he's an older fighter that Tyson.
Yeah.
Yeah, Shawn, the Ginger Ninja, Shawn Nichols. So I'm like, this happened in the balcony. I'm like, Shawn Nichols just got approved to be a referee in the state of Massachusetts. If he was at the show, he'd be down on the floor with the commission. What the fuck's the Ginger Ninja doing up in the balcony, fighting with a security guy? He wouldn't be doing that. And then I pulled up a picture and I said, this fucking guy? And it was Shawn Nichols I'm thinking. And they're like, no, that's not him. And I'm like, you said Shawn Nichols. And then finally it clicked. And I went to Chip Nichols' Facebook, because that's who Shawn Nichols is. And I was like, is this him? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, he's part of the New England cartel. The fight team.
So since you bring up the other Shawn Nichols, I got a funny quick story for you. So the way our Shawn Nichols got on the team is because he ran into Calvin Cater at like a gas station or something and went up to him and was like, hey man, I'm an amateur fighter. I'm a huge fan, blah, blah. And he told him his name. And Calvin was like, think of the kid you're talking about, the Ginger Ninja. He was like, he looks different than the last time I saw him. And he asked Calvin if he could come train with us. So Calvin was like, sure, man. Like, yeah, I remember you from way back. So Shawn was just like, oh, what is he talking about? But came to the gym anyways and then started training with us. And we were like, who's this kid you just brought to the gym, Calvin? He's like, Shawn Nichols, the Ginger Ninja. And Tyson's like, dude, this is not him. This is just some random kid. But Shawn's a hard-ass worker. So we kept him around, and now he trains with us.
So, Shawn, we can laugh at it after the fact. That night you weren't laughing, but you do have my apologies. And that staff member is no longer with us, and the decision was made that night after I kind of put all the pieces together. So either way, we can take a laugh at it now. But yeah, man, so Tommy, the floor is yours. Any last minute shout outs or anybody that you want to recognize before we let you go for the night?
Yeah, I mean, just as always, man, my sponsors, and I know I got some family watching. Just appreciate everyone's support, man. I had a ton of support for going into, I guess, enemy territory this week. And it didn't really feel like enemy territory. You guys treated me great. My people came out and supported me. And even, man, Don's people were pretty cool too. I had a lot of people come up to me after the fight and show their respects, and everyone was pretty cool. So I guess shout out to you guys too for the awesome experience, man. I had a blast fighting for you guys. Hopefully, like I said, maybe I got a call to do something pretty big this summer. But if not, I'll be around. So thanks for having me.
Yeah, my man, I appreciate that. Because I've said that before. Like, people might come from out of state or wherever the case may be, but the Cage Titans fans really respond in that building to fighters, and whether they booed you when you're walking out, they're cheering you when you put on a performance like that. And it's hard not to become a fan. And you're right. It didn't feel like enemy territory. That place was jammed just for you, just as much. And that place went crazy for your walkout. So, that's a testament to your fans as well. They really showed up and showed out. And I want to thank them as well, because obviously your whole career has been New Hampshire, Maine, and this was a little bit more of a drive, and they showed up in support of you. So thank you to your fans for coming down and showing up for Cage Titans.
Yeah, man, they're awesome. I had people coming from Vermont. My best friend lives in Vermont, never misses a fight. Drove 4 hours down that day and drove back that night. I had some buddies from Connecticut coming. I think every state in New England I had someone make a drive from, and so it was cool, man. I had a blast.
Ask your brother about the experience. I'm sure he talked to you. Me and him got to kind of chat for a good 5-10 minutes. And I got him his 2 front row seats, and it was directly behind your opponent's corner.
Oh, I saw him when I could see him on the screen when I was out back warming up. I was like, is that my brother over there in that corner? And then I saw him standing there. There's a funny video of him when I knocked Don out, and he's like jumping. He's in their corner, like jumping up and down. I was like, oh man. But yeah, good placement. I like it. Little noise back there for him.
Awesome. All right, Tommy, have a great night. Thank you so much for tuning in, and congratulations once again, the Cage Titans featherweight champion.
Thank you, guys. Have a good one.
Championship win right there. That was insane.
It was incredible. But speaking about incredible,
yeah,
I got to say, we've been doing Cage Titans for a long time. There was one point on Saturday night that place, I got to say, could have been loudest that I've ever heard of it. And that was during Drew Arpin fight and Colin Houghton, during that whole exchange of the rear naked choke to Colin turning purple and getting out of it somehow, to the bulldog choke, to the way the place erupted. That fight was insane.
That's after a round where Colin Houghton was cracking Drew Arpin. He had his face all battered and bloodied up and dropped him a couple times. So the comeback of the year contender already, and there were a few of them already tonight. Drew the Mutt Arpin is joining us.
The Mutt. That's his nickname, the Mutt?
The Mutt.
All right, before we get into anything, tell us the Mutt story.
Mutt story is really nothing much. You guys said you needed a fight name. I thought of it the day of, but all my buddies and stuff call me a Mutt. I'm kind of a little bit of everything. I'm Irish, I'm Portuguese, I'm Brazilian, French Canadian, I'm a little bit of everything.
Jeez,
I
can't see any of that. I mean, I like Portuguese and Brazilian. I don't see that, and that's for sure.
Oh yeah. All the buddies call me that. They think I'm a little bit of everything. They said I can pull multiple cards there, so they call me a Mutt, and that's how I take it.
Yeah, I like it. It's fitting. I love it. I love it. It's a great nickname, and
Mutts are usually scrappy too. You got to fight for the Mutt. They're scrappy.
Yeah, there's a little bit of a double lead in there.
And the Mutt got the bulldog choke. That was, you never see those. It's a rare move, but it's old school. Jack Congdon was talking about some of those old school maneuvers. This bulldog choke is as old school as it gets. And the rear naked choke failed, and you just stuck with the grip. We're talking about the importance of getting a grip on that neck, and you don't really need the hooks or anything. The hooks fell out. You just scooted the hips out and finished it. And that's after you could have taken any avenue to quit in that first round, but you didn't. 2 fights in, fight of the year contenders, both of them. People were rightfully excited to see you return after this layoff, and you didn't disappoint in the least bit. It was an incredible fight. I hope you do realize just how sick of a comeback that shit was.
Yeah, it was a pretty fun fight. I had a good time. The bulldog choke, I mean, I don't know how I got it. I have never hit that in the gym like in my entire life. So once I had it, I know how to finish it, but it's a pretty dangerous choke, so I don't really pull that off like in the gym. It's can bang people's necks up, so I really don't hit that choke a lot, but it was given to me, so I took it.
That was good. You just kind of beat me to my question. I was going to say, is that a choke that you've hit, you've tried, or anything? That was just spur of the moment, kind of like Jack standing rear naked. Spur of the moment, instincts took over.
Yeah, well, I had him in that rear naked, and actually when I had him in the head and arm from bottom, I usually just use that to get him to exit either way and give me something. But I heard him gurgling, like he was choking on the first one. So I knew I had him, and then he gave me his back. I slid to the back. I took the back. I had him in the rear, the RNC, and then if you watch on the film, he like did a push up out of it, which is crazy. And he gave me the bulldog.
It's so funny because that is definitely stood out to me. Like, so he's a former like CrossFitter and you know, in big into fitness, like he just fucking straight out push-ups. Does a straight up push-up with you on his back. But like go into that exchange, you know, what's going through your mind? And then when he kind of like gets out of it, are you like, holy fuck? Or like, what is going through your mind? Because that's what I saw. When I saw it, I'm like, this kid's turning purple. He's out. And then next thing you know, he fucking spins out of it. I'm like, holy shit. What the fuck's going on here? What was it like for you in that moment?
When he got out of the rear naked, it wasn't, I mean, I had his neck. So I wasn't really worried about it because no matter what, I have his neck in a favorable position. So he can get my hooks out, but I still have his head, so I can move his head and move something else. So I knew I wasn't totally like screwed, but I was shocked. I heard him both times choking and like gurgling and like sucking for air and couldn't get any. And yeah, he was tough as nails.
And, and kind of like Andy said earlier, obviously your debut, an incredible fight against Sandy Muniz. I'll never forget that fucked up picture of your eye, how bad that was. I think I heard that you missed out on a family vacation because of that eye. Is that true?
Yeah, I did. My mom got the insurance. She had a pretty good idea what was going to happen that night, but she got the vacation insurance, so I didn't have to worry about it. But they canceled it.
Smart move, man.
So you guys were you supposed to go to Aruba?
Yeah, we're gonna go to Aruba, like a family trip. She got it like a week later. I went to the doctor actually for my hand because I broke my hand on the spinning back fist in my last fight. Not this most recent one, but the last one. And I broke my hand on the spinning back fist. So we went to the doctor for that. And they're like, "What happened to your face?" And I was like, well, this was all the same thing, but the face is like whatever. And they're like, "Do you want us to check it out?" I was like, "Sure." And they're like, "You probably shouldn't go on a plane."
That's crazy. So, after all of that, and then ever since I heard that from Lozon, I was like, dude, this fucking poor kid, man. I felt horrible. And then like trying to get you back into the cage, how amazing was it to like kind of go through that whole process of your debut, missing out on family vacation. Then you went away for a little bit and then you came back and now here you are fighting. Like, what was that journey like and how incredible was the feelings?
I mean, like starting from my first fight, my debut fight, we had that fight. I mean, I know I got busted up, but I had the most fun I've ever had in my life in that fight. That was fun as shit. I genuinely enjoyed it. I'm not bullshitting you there. That was like really fun. And then I went to school. I did a semester of school. I trained the whole time while I was at school at URI, University of Rhode Island. I trained with Pride Martial Arts, Ross Levine's gym. I've trained with a couple guys over there, just like a kickboxing school. I drive back to Lozon's and Connor Matthews' basement when I could, but I was training out there in Rhode Island. And then I don't know if you remember, but in that summer, I tried to get a fight and we couldn't find anyone for that fight. So I went through a whole camp in the summer of 2023, nothing. And then I went to school in Colorado after that. Same thing, went to school, trained there, trained with a bunch of awesome guys in Colorado, worked with a lot of wrestlers there, got better that way. And then I got my wisdom teeth surgery in November there. So I couldn't spar or roll or anything for like 2 months. So I hit the bag like a lot, like 2 hours a day and strength and conditioning because that's all I could do. So I would just work out like a freak. And I tore my labrum in my shoulder just from overuse. So then that put me on the back burner even more. I had to wait. And then I worked with Ross Levine and Turbo Sports, and they helped me recover from that injury. But my practice camp was a part of my camp for this fight. This was as absolutely soon I could from my labrum tear. My practice camp was like ended at the end of December, and my like real camp was like really only 4 weeks. Obviously, I was just doing my camp, but my practice camp to make sure my shoulder could withstand entire camp was basically the entirety of my camp.
Yeah,
I fought the fight.
It's been a ride, and I know, like going back and kind of hearing it out. I remember like always kind of checking out what are we doing with Arpin, and then remember that summer that we didn't get a fight for you. It was like, you know, Joe was like, after his first experience, I'm really going to be picky on who we go with, you know, because we need a, you know, we all kind of felt a little guilt about that vacation that you had to miss. I'm not going to lie. And then hearing about the injuries and surgeries and all that stuff and back and forth to school.
Oh boy.
You know, it was great to finally get you in there, and it was great to kind of, you know, it was an amazing fight. And just, I'm being honest with you, man, that place was bananas, and that place gets loud, but that place was loud when you finally got that finish. It was incredible.
Yeah,
I think it was
pretty cool. Pretty cool. I got a good group of fans, good group of like family and friends that just support me throughout the whole thing.
Yeah,
that's all he's got to say. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Pretty cool.
Pretty cool. Just like one of the greatest amateur comebacks of all Cage Titans history. Yeah, pretty cool. Oh, yeah. Building built by the Pilgrims might have to have some structural repercussions because of the magnitude of the volume of that place during my fight. Yeah, just pretty cool. Did more damage than the earthquake that happened. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Yeah, just so humble about it, but an absolute dog.
So before we let you go on that note, like anything else that you want to, you know, shout out to the fans, the team. I mean, I know you train with the Basement Boys. You got the Lozon, you got Luciani. You know, you got a great support system around you. The crowd really showed up for you. You know, anything last minute things that you want to say to those guys?
I'm just thankful for everyone that is there for me. That's really all. They drive me. They motivate me to do this type of stuff. Without them, I'm nothing. You know, there's a lot of cooks in the kitchen. Obviously, I'm out there in the cage by myself, but there's a lot of people that support me and help me and talk to me every day. I mean, my crew is my everything. So without them, I'm nothing. I appreciate all of them, and they know who they are, but I appreciate all of them.
Well, we appreciate you. We appreciate that you're back competing, and we look forward to seeing many more performances just like that.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
All right, my man. Thank you.
Drew the mud up, and
there we go. Great. I'm telling you, man, and I'm not just bullshitting. Like that place was nuts. Fucking wild when he pulled that choke off. And I just think it was also the momentum switches because that gets people into it. And then also like it looked like it was over. And I'm telling you, like part of that exchange.
It was a one-sided. It was a one-sided first round, and that's what makes the change.
The first round.
Drew Arpin got dropped, battered, busted up. Colin Holden was putting a beating on him. And then that's the momentum shift. It's like it was such a one-sided first round. We were like, how did he survive? And then all of a sudden he turns the tables, gets that rear naked choke, the bulldog choke sequence where Colin Holden, again, not an ounce of quit in him whatsoever. He's sitting there, just refuse. He didn't even tap. He went out.
Yeah.
So yeah, kudos to both of them. But Drew Harpen looking fucking amazing in that return fight. So yeah, no shit. The crowd was loud. Nobody could believe with their eyes what they watch. That's the best part of this sport is the heart.
Love this sport.
The heart. It's all heart.
All heart. And all heart from the dark. Speaking of heart and grit, we have another caller coming in, Derek Reed from Marandola Martial Arts. And talk about a fun fight. Like this was a great, like a lot of talk was like when the poster came out, like you got Xavier Cardona, 40 years old, and you got Derek, who's 19 years old, and they both looked every bit of their age gap on the poster. And I say that in the nicest way to Xavier. I say that the nicest way to Derek. Derek is a very young looking guy, and Xavier is every bit of 40 and a hard 40 life that he's had. And it was just cool. And then, seeing them at weigh-ins, staring down, and, Derek was just not fazed by anything. Though he's 19, he was just not fazed by it. And, Xavier's kind of poking fun of him about the facial hair and stuff where they're staring down at the weigh-ins. And it was just like, all right, cool. And then they got in there and they fucking battled it out. And what a battle it was. So without further ado, Derek Reed. What's up, buddy?
Hey, guys. How are you?
Doing great. How you doing, Derek Reed?
Boy, I'm feeling good. I was sore yesterday. Still a little sore in the shoulders, but what can I do about it,
Now you got it under the belt. You got it done and out of the way. Stepped in there, competed, and yeah, it looks like you had a great experience from the likes of it. Give us your thoughts.
Yeah, no, that whole experience was just so surreal, man. Like, I don't know, like growing up on Martha's Vineyard, I didn't think I was gonna be able to even be in like an arena like that before, like compete in like in a stage like that. Just I didn't think I was gonna go very far from the Vineyard, but then I moved to Falmouth and I started making my own journey, and then wow, that was again that night's gonna live with me for the rest of my life, pretty much. That was just so much fun.
Man, and it is crazy. Speaking, kind of jumping onto Martha's Vineyard. So you grew up in Martha's Vineyard, you go to school and stuff like that, and then you just move over to Falmouth. What was that?
Yeah, so I grew up on the Vineyard. I was born and raised there, and then 8th grade we moved here to Falmouth. Very very different environment compared to the Vineyard. Obviously, Vineyard's obviously more home style, and everyone like knows each other there. And then once I moved to Falmouth, it's like I was in a whole new area, whole new different area. Just didn't know anyone. After pretty much after 8th grade year, when high school like freshman year started, I took a bit of boxing classes because I don't know, I was just upset with myself, just gaining like a bunch of weight. I used to weigh around like almost near like 180, like, so I would just do the boxing for cardio, and then I started getting good at it, and I just kind of took from there for a little bit, and then I switched to mixed martial arts.
Speaking of that upbringing, I think I was looking through some pictures. You grew up doing what, karate? I see you in a gi or something.
Yeah, so when when I was younger, I did some jiu-jitsu when I was in 4th grade. I did kids jiu-jitsu in 4th grade, and then at first I didn't like jiu-jitsu, so I stopped doing it. And then there was a guy on the Vineyard who did a couple of boxing classes over there, so I did some of his classes over there, and then he just kind of stopped teaching, and then I kind of stopped for a little bit over there. But obviously I started doing jiu-jitsu again, also combined with some Muay Thai as well. So, but all around, it's just been great being back into it,
Yeah, and you guys got a great little team forming over there at Marandola. You got Johnny Gomes, who's competing and had some success so far. You come into this with 2 guys on the card. Let's go back to fight night. Like, what was that experience like, and what were some takeaways that you have? Because it was a very entertaining fight.
Yeah.
I mean, like the experience, awesome. Like just going, like just, uh, just the beginning, just like arriving at the arena, going up to the locker room, just seeing like a chair with like a poster of my face on it, like for my little area, was just also really cool as well to see. Just like seeing the warm up mat, it was all just very surreal. Like feeling the inside of the ring before the fights happened. The walkout was great. Like, oh, it was just for such a first time. It was such a fun night. Like obviously, like me and Xavier duked it out. Man, it was nothing like the first two. I will say, obviously the first tie fight was a knockout, but I don't know. Just compare and contrast the two other tie fights. Like all three good tie fights, but I just pretty much like it was just a slugfest for mine, and I enjoyed it. What can I say?
Yeah, it was absolutely fun watching like the contrast of styles and just the 10-year gap is quite the sizable gap. And it's like, no, you didn't only separate by the 30s and 20s, but we had a teenager fighting a 40-year-old, and you guys put on quite the scrap beyond belief. And I loved it. I like clashes, and that was
Oh boy.
I gotta ask, because this is probably one of my favorite moments, and I gotta get what was going through your head. As Xavier just has his hands by his side, running at you, yelling at you. Like what is going through your head?
I mean, at first, I'm not gonna lie. At first, it was a bit odd, like in the sense of just being like, okay, this guy is just gonna just rage at me, coming at me. So I just gotta prepare for the as long as the just as more as the rounds kept going, like it was like, all right, I gotta kind of get used to this. So it was just kind of it was a little scary to see, but at the same time, very very entertaining to just witness in there.
It was, man. I remember watching it, and I was, like, because I'm walking by, and I'm like, man, like, and I'm thinking to myself, like, Xavier's been in there a lot of times, and obviously he has a lot of experience as a 40-year-old guy, and he's been competing for a while. And I'm like, I wonder what this kid's fucking thinking. Like, he's got this wild old man running at him with his hands down, and like, this isn't how a fight's supposed to go. He's supposed to have his hands up. He's supposed to try to protect himself, and he's just like egging you on to kick him and punch him in the face. I can't even imagine what's going through your head.
I mean, I will say though, like it was a very good first fight. I will say, like now as the fights as for like my opponents goes, like now that when I progress, I just know that all my opponents are gonna probably be different than how Xavier was, because I don't think none of them are gonna have their hands down, running towards me and just keep swinging for 6 minutes straight. So it's a good roadblock, or it was a not a roadblock, but it was a good it was a good stepping stone. I should say.
In kind of go from my perspective going on to that fight, going to another direction, like how close were you in your mind when you were eating those knees to the body? Because I think you got back-to-back standing 8 counts, if I remember. Was there any point in time you're like, fuck, I don't want to keep doing this? Or like, what was that whole thought process? Because, he landed that knee to the body, then you got that standing 8 count. And then it was like, all right, he went right back to that well and almost immediately got another standing 8 count. Was there any point in time that you're having some difficulty being like, fuck, I don't want to do this? Or what was your thought process there?
It was it was like, honestly, it was kind of the opposite, like when he got the first one on me, it was like, all right. And then the second one, I kind of just got a little bit like annoyed, a little bit pissed off, and I was just like, the ref was counting, and I think I kind of yelled at him a little bit, but I didn't mean to, but I was kind of like, I'm good, like just have my hands up. So like, because I just didn't want to waste any time, and I just wanted to go.
Yeah,
Like,
for sure.
Not that at all. I mean, the sky's the limit. You're super young in this game, and you put on a good show and representing your gym very well. Marandola Martial Arts is brewing some savages out of the Cape, and it was an extremely entertaining fight against someone who had a ton of fight experience already, especially in that venue. So for your young age, it was truly impressive. You got nothing to hold your head down on, and I like that you have a great attitude about it. A couple of days out, and can't wait to see what's next in store for you, Derek Reed.
Of course. Thank you.
All right, man. Before we let you go, any last minute shout outs or anything else you want to say? The stage is yours.
Obviously, shout out to the entire Marandola martial arts team. Without you guys, I would have not been prepared for this fight whatsoever. And especially a big thank you to Coach Cody. Like you were telling me before in the locker room, like show them who you really are. Just be you, have fun. And that's exactly what I did that night. Obviously I lost, but it felt like I won at the end, you know?
Listen, man, you're a winner just getting in there competing. I said that was going to be my last thing, but I got to ask, what's the signs in the background? Like, what are is this like a collector's item thing? What is these wanted posters?
You know, it's from I'm kind of a bit of a nerd myself, but like a little anime nerd myself, but this is from a show called One Piece, and all of them have their own wanted posters. It's a little pirate show that I watch, and it's all the whole crew together, and it's like all of them are wanted, and you know, all pirates and all that stuff. They all have bounties and stuff like that. Just the nerd stuff. If you look around my entire room, I'm a pretty big nerd myself. So,
listen, man, you fit in the fight game. You got to hit up Jay Perrin. He's a Luffy One Piece nerd. And he's into the anime. I watched the One Piece Netflix show though, and that was pretty cool. So in this sport, we're all kind of a little bit nerdy. So don't hang your head on that one, because.
Oh, gotta wait one more time.
Yeah, they're always talking about anime and Pokemon and all that stuff. So you're cool. I didn't see any characters I recognized. That's why I was like, who are these people? I don't see Luffy or.
Right. Well, he's right there. That's just a different style of him right there.
All right, there you go. Okay, I see you. All right, my man. Well, thank you so much for calling in tonight, and we look forward to seeing you inside that cage once again sometime soon.
Of course. Thank you guys for having me.
All right,
of course.
There you go.
Thanks for fighting. I mean,
all
right. It was a great fight.
It was a crazy fight, and that's what I loved about it. Like, you touched on the age gap, like 19 against a 40-year-old, and. In my mind, I'm just thinking like every 40-year-old that wants to smack the new generation, they don't make them like I do. And you got that aspect of Xavier kind of living that out. And then you got the young kid, and in my mind, I'm playing it out.
You're not my dad.
Get off my yard, you young whippersnapper. And now
I
want to
God.
punch that fucking old dude. And that's just kind of in my mind as I'm having my inner dialogue of that fight.
Yep.
And then the fight playing out. Like, I remember Xavier at the weigh-ins as they're staring down, he just like crouches in, starts looking at the kid's face. He's like, "You don't even got no facial here, bro." Like dying. And he had a couple of whiskers, like whatever. And from that exchange, and then just the exchange in the cage of Xavier, like just running at him and just wild haymakers. Like, there is nothing traditional about fucking Xavier and his fighting style.
Don't matter. It's entertaining as shit. It is awesome.
Amazing. And, it was just an incredible fight. And I think Derek learns a lot about himself, and he faced some adversity, and, that's just some building blocks that he's going to grow from there.
Well, what's next for Xavier now, I got to ask?
Well, Xavier was scheduled for an MMA fight, and when his MMA fight fell through, that's why it ended up being a Muay Thai, because he's like, listen, I'll fight fucking anybody. I want to fight. Like, John Marandola said it best. He's like, I could call Xavier and be like, there's 6 dudes standing at my door, and within 30 seconds, Xavier would be at my fucking door fighting 6 dudes. And he might be bloodied and beat up, and he'd still be like, all right, let's do it again. Like, he's just that guy.
I love it.
And I love Xavier. His brother, actually, shout out to his brother. He actually came up to me and thanked me for the shout out that on the story I was telling about his brother on the fight week lead up about, he's like, oh, I listened to the show. I heard what you said about me. It was so crazy. And he's like, I remember that night. I'm like, it stuck with me fucking 6 years later. I'll never forget that night. But either way, shout out to Xavier Cardone and Derek Reed. So we'll see what's next with both of them. we were going to break down the whole card and kind of go over it. We had some caller in. I know Andy's getting tired. I'm fucking getting tired.
I'm
But
about
let's
to
just
fall
do it
asleep.
quick.
All right, yeah. So real quick,
Williter and Rafael Ferreira. Hold on. I'm going to go over my highlights, and then you go over your highlights, and not about every fight. We'll just go over a few. I got a couple talking points.
all right, go ahead.
Unless you want to go first.
I mean, we can go through it real quick if you'd like.
Well, I'm just going to say, it makes me stand out. Textera MMA, let's just talk about them. They showed up on the scene. They really put on some incredible performances. Rafael Ferreira, insane, his hands.
Yeah.
The way he was really polished. And the funny part about that fight, he was supposed to compete in MMA. He wasn't even put his name in for Muay Thai. When his opponent fell out, he took the Muay Thai fight.
Mm-hmm.
And Will Latour, coming out of Sean Schubert School, had a ton of hype coming out, making his debut. And Rafael just was like, man, another fucking level that kid striking.
Yeah, the elbow to punch combo to put him away was incredible, but the pace that he was able to set through the whole fight, he really made a splash. And Will Latour, I'd really like to see him go down a weight class. I was able to chat with him at the after party. I thought that he was a little undersized for that weight class, but he's got a great team around him. He was hanging out with Nico Mavromatis at the end, and I can't wait to see him back in it because he's a pupil of Sean Schubert at a Red Seal right there. He's just that's because there was no quitting him. Yeah. He could have taken it out at any point in that fight, but no, he stood a standing 8 count and kept trying to go for the finish until he got clipped, and that was that. So
shout out to Will. He got announced as Brockton, and my ears perked up, and we got to talk at the after party. And him and I went to the same elementary school.
Wow, look at that.
We both went to Hancock Elementary. Shout out to Hancock Elementary. And another fun fact about Hancock Elementary, Joe Gianetti's wife teaches at Hancock Elementary now. Obviously, she did not teach when I was there back in fucking 1984, 85, but she teaches there now. So, yeah, man, that's incredible. So that was a crazy fight. Kenny Champy's trying to call in. So I just threw in the comments, Kenny, if you're listening, all you got to do is copy, paste that into your browser, and you can call right in. We'd love to have you in. But Texera MMA was a standout. Like Ryan Teixeira, all those guys, standout performances. Drew Harper and I had that on my list of kind of talking about. Jack Barry,
Jack fucking Barry.
Jack fucking Barry.
Jack fucking Barry.
Jack fucking showed up.
I gotta give. Yeah, he definitely showed up. That was an absolute savage pace that he put on en route to his finish. And talk about comebacks. Tara Walmsley put on one of the other comebacks of the year that night. Ariana Bucaccio was insane in that first round. She was throwing huge punches. The ground and pound was insane. And she put a beating on Tara, but Tara just refused to quit. Made it out of the round. Found a way in the second round, and once there was an exchange on the ground with the head and arm throw, she got the mount and was able to piece together some good ground and pound en route to the choke finish. No quitting either of those ladies. It was an incredible fight, and Tara getting the big comeback win. That was one of the serious best comebacks I've seen as well. And that was honestly riding after Drew Harper's comeback.
2 fights later. I mean, you got fight of the year, and then it's like, wait a minute, hold this, and I'm going to go a fight.
Comeback of the year.
Speaking of the girls, Tara Walmsley, Ariana Bucaccio, also Melissa Santos and Alyssa Totora. Another great fight. We've talked about both female fights with the same weight classes. I'm not into matching yet, but eyeballing maybe a Tara versus Alyssa fight, maybe matching up Ariana and Melissa Santos. That would be kind of fun fights that came out of it. As they say, Monday morning matchmaking. If I was an armchair quarterback, that would be something that we would look at.
Yeah.
Kind of rounding out the amateur fights. Gavin O'Connell looked incredible. Jordan Tavares, like if you talk about the opposites, complete opposites, Jordan, very boisterous, very in your face with the walkouts, the weigh in, everything. Gavin just doesn't say 2 words. I think I might have said 3 words to this kid in the 2 times he's fought for me. He's just very stoic, not very talkative, and he just put on an amazing performance. Great performance from him. Brandon Walker, Jake Callender, another great one. Callender improves to 3-0. And then the last fight on the undercard, Tristan Wood versus Eric Gomes. I put that there for a reason, and boy, do they fucking deliver.
Yeah, you put it there for a reason. Everyone knew the reason at the end of it because it was an extremely high-level amateur fight. Eric Gomes, 19 years old, was undefeated riding into this one. And Tristan was able to pretty much win every single round, but every round was extremely competitive where both guys had to overcome adversity in some way, shape, or form. It was an extremely high level fight. Tristan Wood seriously impressed with how he was able to handle Eder Gomes, because Eder is a 19-year-old phenom, if you will. The way I gotta be honest, I haven't seen too many amateurs with hand speed and placement like that. And the way Tristan was able to take those shots, nullify it, finally take Eder Gomes down, and grind out the definition of earned a decision victory was that, because they were both clobbering each other. And even in the last seconds, Eder going for that arm bar, knowing he's down on the scorecards, no quitting him, and Tristan Wood just all facets of MMA looking superb right there against a kid that's a real problem, and Tristan establishing himself as a problem in the division as well.
He's a problem for sure. And speaking of problems, we got Kenny Champion. He's a problem for anybody, whether it be the OG division or just any division, and I got to say that before we bring him on. He's in, Kenny was competing in the OG for the OG title, as that was what I offered out to him. But he is not your stereotypical OG competitor. And I think that needs to be recognized. Kenny is competing high level despite his age. Like, he's not in an OG division. Like, when you're competing in the Masters division because you're over 40, like, his career has been in the divisions, the real divisions. And I say that because, for a lack of a better term to say it elsewhere, any other way, at 45 years old, he was competing with the 22-year-olds and the 20-year-olds and so successful, winning titles, amateur titles, competing against guys, 8, 9, 10 years ago that were it just his career. I saw some people like talking about the OG-ness. It's like he picked up this title because it was offered to him, but make no mistake about it. Like, he could be in a competition with Don Sheamus or Tom Pags, and he would still be there competing with those guys and hanging with them. So I hope I did his man justice. The man himself, the OG champion, Kenny Champion.
Kenny Champion, the champion. Once again, what's happening, man?
Are you frozen on us? I think he's frozen.
I'm not.
Oh, there he
is. I'm hoping.
I was going to say.
What's going on, fellas?
Either Kenny's frozen or he's just still smiling from the weekend and such an incredible performance this weekend.
Yeah, man, is an incredible high. I can tell you that.
Kenny, one thing that I'll always remember from you, and again, hopefully I'm not talking out of term, but like, I came from humble beginnings. I came from, not the best neighborhoods. And one thing that I'll never forget is after you won our amateur title and kind of bringing it back to the hood, and I say that respectfully because, I grew up in a pretty rough neighborhood. But you brought it back to like the people where you came from and showed what I thought that represented is like, listen, man, you can rise up and you can come out of, whatever situation you are. I'm getting a little goosebumpy talking about it, but what does it mean for you? Because I can't imagine. I remember seeing those pictures of you bringing it around the streets in your neighborhoods and people in the street holding your belt and stuff. Man, I'll never, ever, I promise you this, I'll never forget that.
Hey, man, I swear, I'm not even going to lie. This is very emotional for me as well. Like, you did me some justice, like really explaining everything down to a T. So being able to bring something like this back to my community and any title that I did is a win for them too. It is a win for them too, for to have somebody go out there and do something. I am one of a kind. I'm the only person out of my neighborhood that's doing something like this, and that come from that cloth. I've been there before. You know what I'm saying? And people that have seen where I've been from and what I'm doing right now, and even being able to have them in in a building like that is it means the world. It's something that excuse me, it's something that even even when I'm gone, it'll leave a lasting memory in their mind. It was something that I was able to bring them to at that moment. So that should mean the world to me. Yeah, I'm from there. I'm from that cloth.
Yeah, man, it is incredible, man. I love hearing it. I don't know if you heard earlier, like, Will Latour, who fought early in the night, he's from Brockton, and it's like, yeah, and that was where I grew up. And like when I heard that, I perked up because I'm like, man, not a lot of people come out of there. Like Lionel Young's another guy who represents Brockton, and so it's always nice to hear those good stories that people that like kind of came from a struggle and a toughness and kind of did some good stuff. And man, it really stands with me. And even some of your fans, man, I was talking. He said he was your brother. I don't know if he really was your brother, but like we were hanging out for a good 10, 15 minutes before your fight. And we're shooting the shit, and I'm giving he's sending the link to watch the fights back home to people, and I'm helping him stuff out on his phone and shit. It was a real cool.
If he said he was my brother, more than likely that was my brother. But it's an amazing feeling, and really to actually walk in a room and full of angry, screaming fans, and I'm out there to win the crowd. It was a old gladiator saying, and that's what I'm out there to do. I go out there smiling every time, and I'm going out there to have fun. And like I said, you did me some justice, man. Don't try to handicap me. Don't say because of my age, just because of my age, that I started with young guys and guys that was younger than me, and I didn't have a lot of miles on me, and just so happened I had the privilege to work around some talented guys as I was coming up through the ranks, and it didn't take me that much time at my age. So I'm out here working every day. That's what I do. I'm in a gym. I'm working on my craft, and as long as I'm able, I'm ready to get to work at 145. At 150, I don't get no bigger than that, but I'm ready to work, man. Go out there and show my abracadabra.
With the performance like that, do you think I gotta say the crowd wasn't that rough on you after knocking out their hometown guy. Like I'm not gonna say I didn't hear any boos, but I mean they weren't exactly mean to you. Would you agree with that?
No,
or
no, I'm not saying it in that sense. I'm saying it in the sense that I'm always a out of town guy when I'm coming out there, and it's an old gladiator saying you have to go out there and win the crowd, and that's what I'm out there to do, to win the crowd. So that's what I have in my mind state. It's not necessarily a thing that they are against me, but it is.
But it's just part of
it's part of the game.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, Kenny, I'm here to let you know right now.
It's the entertainment business.
All right. Well, entertainment you did. I want you to know, and I don't think you know this, but out of everything that was streamed that night on our social media, you getting your hand raised with the OG title, it was the #1 viewed thing that we posted that night. 49,100 people have already saw that. In second place was Tom Pag's celebration at 43,000. So you had the #1 viewed, rewatched, and watched again.
What?
Congratulations.
Thank you very much, man. And I'm very excited about being able to make the Laggett beer cover, man. That was one of the most greatest memorabilia I was able to take home with me, man.
Yeah. Listen, man, we truly appreciate, and our fans alike, whether you're the out of towner, you did what the Gladiators saying. You entertained and you came out, you put on a show. You always do, to be quite honest. You always do. You've always brought it. And I look forward to having more Kenny Champion in our lives. And what I said earlier, it's not the OG division. You could be getting thrown in there with the champion one day, the 45 featherweight champion, and hold your own. And maybe you could be, maybe that's a goal. Be the first ever OG and featherweight division champion.
I would love that opportunity. I love the opportunity that you gave me. I'm always thankful for it. Everything, the way you organize things, from the hotel, how everything is set up, and you've always done that, forever, for as long as I fought with you. So I really appreciate that, the way you run your business. Yours is like the top in New England, the best place to ever compete at. The fans go wild, that's what I love. That's why I love to entertain. That was the whole part of my my crawl and my tongue walkout finishing move. I am the boogeyman.
I'm glad you brought that up, because that was actually my next question. That celebration, was that
wild,
like planned? Have you done that before? Because I don't remember.
I did it. I did it after the Aaron Hughes fight, but they didn't put it on the camera. But I made sure I did it again this time.
You sure as fuck did it again. You did it multiple times again. You hit every inch of that mat with that little crawl.
Yeah. Thanks, man.
Well, I want you to know, I did touch on that you were the most viewed with 49,000 plus views on your highlight. And also a testament to everybody. Over the weekend, I got the fight week numbers. 1,261,000.
I think we broke up.
So this was the highest amount of viewers that we've ever had at Cage Titans, and you were the most viewed out of the highest one ever. So congratulations.
That's a record?
That's a record. Now it's not a record for an individual video, but it's a record for the most amount of views on Fight Week in Cage Titans history. 1.2 million people visited our social media pages and viewed all of the videos from Fight Night and all of the posts from Fight Night and Fight Week. And so that's a record. And then piggybacking off that, out of all the record-setting content that we posted, yours was the most viewed.
I love it, man. I love it. And my community is very happy, man. I'm here. I think that's one of my causes, man. I'm here to inspire. That's one of my purposes. I'm here to inspire, man.
It inspire you did. Listen, I've been following the comments, and it's all congrats. Like that one video, 108 different comments on it, and it's all positive. Like, yeah, man, Kenny, you the man, all that stuff. Like how excited they were. So you have a great support system around you, and you really are inspiring. And I love everything you're doing, man. And I love that. We can hopefully continue to put this platform together and having you put on more memorable performances and inspiring the masses even more.
Right. And whenever the time comes to defend the OG title, if it ever does come, like they can't just be coming up off the couch either, man, because I'm in there working. This is all I do with my lifestyle now. I done exhausted myself with everything else. This is all I got. I do this like this is all I got left. So don't just be coming off the couch saying you want to get the OG title.
That's not listen. If some motherfucker comes off the couch and thinking they can step in there with Kenny Champion, they're in for a rude awakening because you're not your typical OG competitor. You're all competitor who's a force at your division with the 20-year-olds, and it's legit. Like so. Thank you. Any last words that you want to tell anybody before we let you go for the night?
Again, I want to give a shout out to my friends, my families, my coaches, and again, I didn't get a chance to say it on the cage, but I wanted to dedicate that fight to a friend of mine who mom passed away earlier this month to cancer. So I wanted to dedicate that fight to her and to anybody else who peoples are going through cancer. So that's about it.
Well, thank you so much, Kenny. Enjoy that belt. Enjoy a little bit of rest if you get that in you, and we'll be in touch shortly.
I'm trying to, man. I got a lot of texts and calls and getting to enjoy this thing, man.
Well, listen, I'll never forget the little kids wearing your belt when you won the amateur title. I want to see some pictures from the crew and everybody wearing that belt.
I will. I got you, man. I'm still. Yeah, man. Hey, Andy, man. Yes, man. This is not. You don't just get this by walk. Like, this is earned. This is hard work. This is a lot of rounds. This is a lot of rounds.
Double champion.
Yep, tested and approved.
Listen, that's absolutely right. So keep up the good work, and we'll talk soon, my man.
Thank you. All right, have a good night.
Thank you as always, Kenny Champion. Man, that's what a moment that was, and what a fight it was. The lightning fast hands and the OG belt. What a addition to Cage Titans, and champion the champion again.
Champion the champion. And he really is such an incredible, competitor, and he's had this in him for so long. Like he just really is, like, man, the guy's a good guy, good person, doing great things with community and things like that. And in all of his posts, like, he's always trying to like inspire people. So I really appreciate that about him. And I'm happy that he was able to come out victorious and, hold that belt. And, sometimes the champions, like, we're proud. I won't say that I've been proud of every champion that have worn the belts, and I'm like, oh man, they're our representation. But I am sure as fuck happy that Kenny Champion represents Cage Titans. So I'm happy of that. Something quick that we did touch upon with Kenny, but I wanted to show up and throw up on the graphic screen before we get going and kind of wrap up the night. This is that graphic I was talking about with the amount of views, and this is our Instagram following. 1,261,609 views from this past week. We were up 263%, up over before. You look at it, 72% of the people that were taking in our content were non-followers. So these are first-time people experiencing Cage Titans. So we had a large reach to people that just had no, affiliation. Then you can kind of see the content type. The reels were really what people were taking in. But this is incredible. I can't stress that. This is something that, when I mentioned earlier that this was a record-setting event, this truly was, from the crowd, to the intake of the fans watching the fight live and watching the fight on social media, all that stuff. So hats off to the crowd, and it's really the fans, like, and the fighters, like the fighters getting this, doing what they do in there, and then having the following and promoting themselves as well. So
it's a monumental weekend.
An amazing way to start 2025.
Yeah.
We've been at it for an hour and a half.
Yeah.
We didn't mention, the main card. We did talk about Tommy Pags. We did have Kenny Champion on the talk.
Jack Congdon was on, but 2 fights left that we got to talk about. Hillary Rose
is out to dinner, so she was supposed to call in, and she said she's gonna miss out because she's not done with her dinner. So she's out celebrating. We're talking about another lights out performance. Team in the back. I go, Performance of the Year award should now be the Hillary Rose award. The way she's been coming out.
Pitching a shutout like that, just looking better and better fight after fight. The momentum that she's on right now is on another level. She's hitting a real stride in her career right now. absolutely picture perfect performance against a super durable and tough Natalie Schlesinger, who I got to catch up with at the after party. She was down on herself, saying things like, "Oh, I'm better than that," and it's like, you fought someone with 6 times your experience in her backyard and just prove how much heart you have as a competitor. She's wicked young in her career in a division that is developing on a global scale, let alone at Cage Titans. But thank you, Natalie Schlesinger and Hillary Rose, for making history and being the first atomweight fight. We'll see Schlesinger back. She's going to grow from this performance, but Hillary Rose really riding that momentum and looking as good as she ever has in her career over the last 3 fights. And Ozzy Martin, man, what more can you say about the performance that he put on? Ron Marshall is as tough as they make him. I don't know what he ate for breakfast that morning, but he was eating everything that Ozzy was throwing at him and firing back to where Ozzy had to respect the power that was coming back to him, and really had a tough challenge in his professional debut after an already challenge-ridden amateur career that led him all the way to the title. But welcome to the professional ranks, Ozzy Toro Martin. Ron Marshall is not an easy task for anybody to put away, especially in the way that he did. So it was great seeing Ron Marshall come back and look great at 170 pounds as well in the new weight class. You know, he took the L, but good to see the health of Ron Marshall. It just seems like he's really focused on the health and wellness.
I love Zach Cyril. I'm not gonna put every other crap comments, but he had an omelet and some oatmeal. I saw him at the hotel breakfast. That's what Ron Marshall had for breakfast. As to Andy's comment earlier.
Yeah, what's wrong with an omelet and some oatmeal?
No, you said he was eating I don't know what your comment was. I don't know what he had for breakfast, but he was eating everything. And I thought it was very witty of Zach Cyril to say, I do know what he had for breakfast. He had the omelet because I saw him at that. So 1 point for you, Zach Cyril. You'll get that point. As Andy was talking about that. In addition to that 1.2 million over on our Instagram, 352,000 views over on our Facebook, which I just pulled up. So Facebook's still kicking strong, but yeah, 352,000 over on Facebook.
Oh, with that, Zuckerberg, I gotta get to bed.
Yeah, so an incredible weekend of records and first, and the age-old question people ask me every time: how are you gonna top this?
Don't worry about it. We will.
Just sit tight, and I don't
know. We'll figure it out.
We're gonna come up. And my last but lastly, shout out to the production team.
Yes.
We debuted the overhead cam.
That was badass.
I'm a nitpicker. It wasn't fucking centered, which I did point out, but that does not remove the fact that it was pretty badass. Some great shots. We're gonna get a little wider lens because there was 2 corners that we couldn't really see. We couldn't see them both at the same time, but we got some tweaks to that. But that was an amazing ad.
It was a fun new toy for sure.
We had the graphic with the corner cams where you can hear into the corners in between rounds, which was another ad for this show, which I truly enjoyed. And
I shout out to Andrew Valdino, Jay Perrin, and Johnny Cupcakes Campbell. The commentary was just seamless. I know I'm like passed out as I'm talking about it right now, but yeah, every show, whoever's involved, my job gets easier and easier show after show with the great people that are in the booth.
So some great stuff on the production team. As for me, tune into all of our social media this week. Be on the lookout for Liam Crowley. He said tonight all the overhead camera shots from the photography team will be out tonight. We got some low level ones from Jacob and around the cage from Martina and Jacob that will be out. So we're gonna flood you over the next week with all the photography and all the great shots that we know how to do, so you can promote your next fight. And then start next Monday, we're going to stop promoting Cage Titans 70, March 22nd. I'll have some fights for you next week. I'll have some names for you.
I'm taking a week off.
And that's it. Let's go.
Cheers, everybody. Thanks for everything.
Boom.
Let's hear it for Shameless Don Shadis.
It's Tom Pagliarulo, who will be looking to claim the Cage Titans featherweight strap.
Do know me, know I'm like a fan favorite just because I'm never in a boring fight, man. I'm not gonna just like fight to win. Like I'm always actually gonna bring it. So they're in for a treat.
In there isn't to just fucking get in. I want to make someone quit. I want someone to scream uncle. I want someone to fucking say stop.
I think on the regional scene, I've slowly progressed in the level of fights I'm taking. I've been in wars. I think I'm ready for it.